So when I was first gone into care, at the time then I was feeling very lost and wasn't quite sure where I actually belonged at the time. And then on moving in with John and Juliet, it gave me some sort of belonging. I felt very grounded, I felt very safe, felt like I had a lot of stability, I felt like I was part of the family and that's where I actually belonged at that time. Kind of knew where I was going to go in regards to my future path. I knew whatever I wanted to do I could achieve with their support. And at that time, I think at that point when I actually moved in with them and knew exactly where I was, and I knew that was going to be my stable home. I knew then that I was going to remain safe and things were going to be bright, the future was going to be great. And here I am today, 12 years later, and I'm happy, and it's because of them that I am who I am today. So my very earliest memory with moving in with John and Juliet was a day where Juliet helped me unpack all my belongings, and she was actually quite shocked at how little I actually had. And she obviously questioned why I didn't have what I had, and I really couldn't give her any explanation. And I remember the first thing she said, right, what we need to do is we need to go and get you all the things you need. What do you need? She also explained to me, you're going to get X amount of pocket money. I think at the time it was probably about £10 a week, which I thought, wow, this is great. And she said, right, well, every month you'll get a certain amount of money to spend on yourself, whatever you choose that to be. That'll be mainly your clothes or your toiletries or anything that you really desire to have. And that then was quite overwhelming at the fact that I thought, well, hang on a minute, I've literally spent quite a lot of my life with barely anything, and now I feel like I'm rich at the time. And obviously at the time as well, I remember the room that I moved into, even though it wasn't made for me, it was a guest bedroom, obviously because they hadn't got anybody living with them at the moment with their own child. I thought, wow, I've got a double bed, and even though it wasn't made for me, I thought I could make this mine, and that to me was something I'll never forget that day. And, all my boundaries were put in place, and felt like, at the time then as well, felt like a family. We got to eat together, we got to, just do things, sit and watch telly, which for me was such a huge thing because I didn't really watch telly with anybody. I was always on my own. Or even going to things like food shopping. That was such a big thing. I'd not really been in a supermarket with an adult for years. But also one of the biggest things as well is the fact that for birthdays and Christmas it was something to be celebrated. Again, I've never celebrated my birthday or Christmas with anybody. Yes, I got gifts, but they were for me on my own. So it was something I always looked forward to. And Christmas dinner, Juliet cooks an amazing Christmas dinner. It was just such a great family affair, really, and I always felt included in everything that they did. And from that day they've always supported me, and even till today now, which is 10 years on, they still support me now in everything I do. Living with John and Juliet enabled me to live independently. They were always very supportive, but always allowed me to be independent and do things for myself, which even at the age of 50 moving in with them was still a great thing, because that's enabled me to, or should I say nurtured me into actually becoming the adult I am today. So all them basic tasks that you need to do when you're an adult and you live independently, they enabled me to do that. So I didn't need to learn them things, but they enabled me to support myself. So they gave me the responsibility of looking after my own finances, doing my own washing, my own ironing, cleaning in my own bedroom, buying my own toiletries, down to little things like that that are something that you need, but it just enabled me to be able to be independent. So it's been 10 years now since I moved out from John and Juliet's family home and went on to live independently. But even now, 10 years on, we've still got a great relationship. we don't see each other on a regular basis due to, you know, life itself. But I always know that they're there. But one of the biggest memories is obviously John walked me down the aisle on my wedding day almost 5 years ago, and his children were my bridesmaid and page boy. Again, that was something so special. You know, it was great that John had agreed to give me away. It's one of them days that you just always remember. But like I say as well, also, you know, I know that they're always there. And another thing that we do is great, which is every Christmas I go there for a couple of hours with my husband and my 3 children. And it's just great just to have them a couple of hours to still spend that time together and know that they are still there and they are still part of my family and I'm part of theirs. And know that they're just always on the end of the phone.